Good morning, YouTube. Well, just down the road from the campground I was at and the visitor center is the ruins of the Harmony Borax Works. We're going to take a look, see what they have to tell us about the history of borax. What I do know is that mining of gold and silver and everything else wasn't very profitable here in Death Valley, but mining of borax was. They called it white gold. San Francisco businessman William Coleman built this plant in 1882. It only ran for about 6 years. He did it to refine what they call cotton ball borax, which was borax mixed with impurities. It was better to build it and refine it here than it was to haul the borax and the waste the 162 miles to the railroad. This way you're only taking good product. So this is the salt flats where they harvested that borax. What it is borates, or salt minerals deposited in ancient lake beds, were uplifted and eroded into the Yellow Furnace Creek Badlands, which is ahead of us here. And water dissolved the borates, carried them to Death Valley where they recrystallized as borax. Borax was useful for blacksmiths, potters, dairy farmers, housewives. As I mentioned in the last video, 20 Mule Team Borax was a cleaning product. Meat packers, even morticians used it at one time. And they had recruited Chinese laborers from San Francisco to come down here and harvest it at $1.30 a day, and minus the cost of the lodging and food that they bought at the company store. So doesn't sound like much, but back in the day, $1.30 a day back in the late 1800s wasn't a terrible wage, but I'm willing to bet it was less than any Caucasians that were working here. So how do they refine borax? I mean, what did this plant do? Well, they heated up with the boiler up there. They heated up these two tanks with water, and they dragged the ore carts up the hill, dumped the raw borax that they had, the cotton ball borax, into the water and dissolved it. And then they added carbonated soda as the borax dissolved, and lime and mud settled out. And then they drew off the borax liquid into cooling tanks, which would have been down here. There was a picture with up there that I didn't show you. There was a whole lot of cooling tanks, and they crystallized. They put metal rods down in and crystallized on that. When it did, they would chip it off and then bag it up to be shipped, and they would just keep repeating that process. Borax won't crystallize at temperatures above 120. So the plant was shut down here in the summertime, and another couple and I were just speculating. It's like, how much wood did it take to run this the 9 months of the year, and where did the wood come from? Because there's not what I would call a lot of forests around here. And of course, from yesterday's video, or the last video, you remember the 20 Mule Team, the wagons, and how they hauled the borax that 162 miles to the railroad. So there's a couple of ruins out here that were part of the company town for the workers here. The Chinese laborers, of course, lived in tents. Some of the other workers here lived just down the road at the what's now Harmony Ranch. So I'm going to get on the road and we're going to go that way, see what we can find. Well, I didn't get lucky. The road to Scotty's Castle was closed which would have been the way I was going to get out of the Death Valley. And I didn't feel like having enough fuel to go up to, there's a volcanic crater. It's up that way. So I didn't head up there. It would have been 60-mile round trip. So it would have burned about 8 more gallons of fuel, which I didn't have. So I headed out of the Death Valley, but I'm up here at Rhyolite, a historic village. It's an old ghost town of a mining village. We're going to check that out. But first, I stumbled on, right next to it, this interesting museum. So this is a depiction, sculpture of Michelangelo's The Last Supper. And the way it was done is burlap soaked in plaster was draped over the models. When it hardened, the models slipped out, and then the artist covered it with fiberglass so that it would be stable for the outdoors. And just talking to a gentleman, he said this is a pretty famous sculpture. There's some other ones around we'll go look at, but I didn't even know this was here, so this is just a bonus. So this group of puppets is purposely set out here to be touched and altered by the elements, and at some point they will be taken off and taken around for installations into other museums, and they ask that you take a selfie with them, which I will do, and send it to the artist. It's basically a way to document how this is all coming together. Now that's a big girl. And of course, what everybody's going to wonder, is it true that, yes, she does have a big butt. But I like it. I can't lie. So this gold miner and bird of some sort is a nice entrance to, I'm going to head up and check out the ghost town. Well, I got up here to the ghost town, and somebody at some point got a caboose from the Union Pacific and turned it into a house. But there's ruins all over the place. I mean, right across from me is the casino. I'll get a better shot of that in a minute. But they've got that all fenced off. But out here, there's like a little shack here, and I'm not sure what that white mound is, but I have a feeling that that's has something to do with the mining here. There's more ruins down there. We're going to walk down the main street here and look around at some of the other things. So this was the casino. Like I said, they got it all fenced off, and I'm sure it's unsafe. But sure it'd be cool to get inside and take a look. I don't have much information on this town other than it was a mining town, and I keep looking around for any kind of informational thing. I can't find any, but coming up the road here, there's what's left of the buildings. Judging by the fact that it's cinder block or concrete block and concrete, this was probably built late 1800s up into the 1900s. I think there's a plaque down here might tell me a little bit more, but let's walk down and see what we can. Now there is stuff scattered all over, like pipe. I don't know what that is. There's all over out through here. I mean, here's an old foundation for some building that's crumbled into nothing. But in some of the washes, I mean, I can see tin cans, old tin cans. So probably when this was going on, there wasn't a whole lot of garbage. You would just throw all your crap outside. One wash down by the museum we were just at is tin cans all over the place. And of course, those tin cans are cultural artifacts. So you can't pick them up. Just leave them right where they are. And it's just how things were back then. It's interesting the difference in the construction. I mean, this is rocks cemented together in this particular building, and then you go right next to it and it's poured concrete. You can actually see the layers of concrete, and then got real decorative up here in the front. And in this particular case, there was a basement, and you can see where in the walls, the wood flooring joists would come across. And I have no idea what this building is. There's no sign. Here's a plaque that's telling me that was John S. Cook and Company Bank. So, and I did notice that when you get up above the third floor, it stopped being concrete and became now over here, right there, I see a tunnel for a mine, and uphill there's another one there. I'm not sure about that, but that definitely is a tunnel, and that's definitely a tunnel. So whatever they were mining here, those are two of the places. I'm not going to walk over to it because it would be dangerous going in there, and nobody knows that I'd be in there. So over here, this was a jewelry store. That's the remnants of the school. And just down here, there's just what's little left of the foundation for the Miners Union Hall. And this HD and LD Porter was built 1906. So that definitely gives us a time frame of when this was in operation. From what I understand, this town, like most mining towns, did not last very long. Within 10 years or so, the mines played out and people moved on. So all of this sprang to life for a very short period of time. Well, I guess that's enough for today. We started in Death Valley. We're now up over 1,000 feet up. We started out below sea level. So I am going to head on up to Beatty and see if I can find a restaurant. So, and we'll see what I can find on the road. See you later, YouTube.